Good evening, everyone. My name is Paul Young. I'm just going to walk you through the job market information for Canada for January 2018. A little bit about my bio. You'll see that I'm involved with a lot of different areas, including economic updates. So this presentation is going to be focused more on jobs. So in the summary, you're going to see a high-level view of the negativity of the numbers, which we saw 88,000 jobs lost. But the interesting trend is it's basically there has been a switch to the full-time jobs, but the part-time jobs basically went out the door in January. My agenda will be talking conservative versus liberal, talking about job creation by sector, middle class, and a little bit more about the middle class. Now this chart here kind of shows a lot about the job trend. So in 2015, the Liberals took power late 2015. So the first year of office, basically the total jobs that they created were a little less or on par with the Conservatives did near the tail end of their term in office. In 2017, there was a big spike in jobs. A lot of that had to do with the fact that the oil production returned to Fort McMurray. We had a strong retail sector, and just some overall things were good for construction and even in manufacturing. However, the goods producing sector, which includes agricultural and natural resources, has continually struggled. So even near the tail end of the Conservatives, we had lost jobs, but that was also due to the fact the way the commodity prices had fallen. The Liberals came to power with the philosophy that they were going to bring more good paying jobs back to Canada in terms of the middle class, and yet in the goods producing sector, they continue to lose jobs. I like to also look at the job mix because it's a critical indication of where wages have gone. So if you look at in 2015 in November, good producing jobs as total employment was 21.6%. If we fast forward to 2017, the average was 21%, and in January it's bumped up to 21.2%. But we're still lagging behind the goods producing sector jobs that Harper had created under his watch near the tail end of his term. The other thing too as well is government jobs have been consistent, but in the little cases here they've gone up. That's a big concern because for each government job it takes about 1.3 private sector jobs to cover the cost. This chart kind of shows you a trend since November 15th. The natural resources jobs have been up and down, but there's been no real consistent growth pattern with that, despite rebounds in commodity prices. The other thing too is if you look, government jobs continue to grow faster in the natural resources, which is not a good indicator of things because government jobs, as I mentioned earlier, pay more money, but they also cost taxpayer dollars, so private sector jobs have to cover that. Trudeau ran his own campaign on that he was going to be there for the middle class. But the bottom line is, Trudeau never once was in the middle class. And the second thing is, he misleads people with the numbers. And the reason I say that is, Stephen Harper wasn't perfect in office. He made some mistakes. All leaders do. But he also was faced with a global decline in 2008-2009, which all but goes unnoticed by the Liberals. Why? Because they really can't defend their economic record, so they hammer the Conservatives. So in the middle part where you see a comparison between Harper and Trudeau, you're seeing that if post-recession, which is one of the key drivers in the growth period, Harper was growing the economy at 2.3%. I averaged Justin Trudeau's growth numbers for the past 3 years, which is 2016, 17, 18, and I get 2.2%. So in essence, despite all the stimulus money, Trudeau's got the same growth or a little less growth than what Harper was achieving. So people don't seem to look at the details. They always get enamored with Justin Trudeau, either his hair, his personality, or celebrity status, but they never ask questions about his policies and what it impacts in areas like GDP. I like to talk about the middle class. Justin Trudeau's statement of his platform was the middle class. But what I want to talk about the middle class here is very succinct. In 2014, Canada had the strongest middle class in the world, but let's take a step back and also step forward. The middle class has been under attack for a better part of 40 years. every government's come into power to try different things in terms of housing, in terms of tax policy, in terms of trade, and they've never really had a great deal of success because the powers like China, India are growing, and as they come up to play in terms of their wages, we come down. So that's what you're seeing. You'll also hear talk about Scandinavia, but they're not apples to apples comparison because Scandinavia drives a lot of their taxation through consumption taxes. So you need to be very careful. But the bottom line is Harper did certain amount of significant policy changes on tax credits, tax policy that helped the middle class. Justin Trudeau came in, and based on a Fraser Institute study, it's shown that 80% of the middle class is paying higher taxes on Trudeau. You'll never hear that from the Trudeau in discussion. So the key point here is never take stats at their face value. It's always important to go into the details. The old saying is devil's in the detail. Thank you.